you're saying that like if you've got a culture first organization, you've got to have a culture first private equity firm because otherwise there's just going to be resistance there and there's not going to be a good relationship that leads to a good outcome. Is that the?
I think so. I mean, first of all, it's the weirdest analogy I've ever come up with on.
Yes.
So I don't know how I feel about it, but I said it. The culture is the heartbeat of the organization.
Do you feel like that's universally true? Right? I mean, like,
yeah. Definitely. It's why everybody screws up in their M&A, because they don't think, they just look at dollar bills and they don't understand that a company is made up of people. Like every company is made up of people, and each person has chosen to work at that company. That's how they're supporting their family. It's how they're supporting their lifestyle. And if people like working at that company, they like working at that company for certain reasons. It's because how it feels to work there. So if you just come in with a stack of dollar bills, everybody can make money in a spreadsheet.
yeah.
You have a spreadsheet and like I changed this multiple from 2 to 3 and every number has gotten bigger. But like, what does a company actually have to do to make those dollars real? It implies that every single individual in that company needs to be rowing in a certain direction in a certain way. And if there's a way that people culturally have been doing things and they like being a part of it, and then someone comes in and says, you don't do things this way anymore, and now we value completely different things, that's not going to work great.
So do you feel like private equity and culture first, like values driven organizations are like at odds with each other?
They can be. No, they don't have to be. I mean, I wouldn't say that we ended up working with a quote unquote private equity group, but it's basically a private equity group. I mean, it's not funded by institutional capital in the same way. And it's people, in my case, I wanted to have people with a very long-term horizon. Like I never had an exit strategy. I didn't want to have investors who were like looking at a date on the calendar and said, we have to have an exit strategy by this date, because the solutions you come up to solve the problems that the customers need, which is the thing that drives any business, are not necessarily constrained by the same time frame that an investor has. So I think that our whole culture, our whole society in the US for too long has been very instant gratification. We need this result and we need it yesterday. And even like forgetting about PE, venture capital. We're going to invest in 10 companies and one of them is going to be successful, but we're going to be happy because that one is a unicorn. Well, that means 9 entrepreneurs and 9 teams, but those entrepreneurs are all going to fail, but they don't really care. Like the incentive, when I say the investors don't really care because they get what they want, they get the return. I think that there's something broken about that. And I think that we need to be more, as a society in general, long-term focused. I think we need to be thinking about private equity investments as illiquid investments for a long time. That's just what they are. These are not publicly traded stocks that you can just unload when you want to at whatever price because you want liquidity. If you're going to invest in private equity, you should be thinking about it as a 15-year deal, 20-year deal. And maybe you can come up with some mechanism for someone's capital to be replaced with someone else's if they need liquidity at some point. And there are ways to value private companies and market to market. That can be done. It's done every day. But if private equity wants to have the right outcomes, then you need to align the mission and purpose of the company with its industry. Sometimes certain outcomes take a long time to develop, and we don't want to do things in a way that force something to happen faster than it naturally is supposed to happen. It doesn't mean don't be ambitious. It doesn't mean don't go after big, ambitious goals, but you better be aware of what there's a cause and effect.